is the NES Classic Edition a sign of things to come, i.e. more systems to follow by different companies, Sega, Atari, etc.? Well, we've already had 1,000 Atari flashbacks of various quality and design. We'll just say we've had ColecoVision ones, we have had Intellivision ones, we've had 2 or 3 Sega ones put out by At Games of mediocre quality, according to Ian. You have the handheld Atari one coming out. You've had one with cartridge slots on the Atari side. They're usually emulator on a chip. So they've had the Atari ones with cartridge slots. You've had the Genesis ones with cartridge slots. And now you have Tectoy putting out a quote-unquote real, like, guts Genesis hardware one for $125 US in Brazil, Mega Drive, with the cartridge slot and built-in games as well. So I think this is just a logical step for Nintendo to get into the market. They picked a weird time, though. They're past the 25th anniversary of the NES. But, you have a certain NES guidebook out, so, maybe they saw the popularity of that and wanted to get in on it. Just kidding. Even though Nintendo does know about the guidebook. They probably don't care. I think it's a sign that Nintendo's going to experiment with this more. I mean, they have stockholders. They want to make money. They want to hedge their bets with the Switch coming out. So if they sell 10 million NES Classic Editions with a pretty high margin, and that's not out of the realm of possibility, being that they sell at least 1 million or 2 of the Atari ones. And again, the 2600 is not anywhere close to the relevance or popularity of the NES. Not even close. So if they sell 1 million Atari flashbacks, they can sell 10 million NES Classic Editions. It's just get the product into people's hands. Have GameStop carry 50 or 100 of them. They will move. The margin is pretty high. The cost to make these is pretty low from what I've seen and what I heard. So there's no reason they can't pump these out. But they'll probably hedge their bets like they did with the Amiibo and have them come out in a few months afterwards, and scalpers will have their way the first maybe month. But before Christmas, hopefully it comes out in wide in large amounts in Walmart and in freaking Best Buy and Bed Bath & Beyond, wherever else they want to sell, consoles like this. The question is, though, are you going to get another NES version with 30 more games or 50 more games, charge a little bit more? Are you going to get a Super Nintendo one in a year or two from now? Are you eventually going to get a 64 one? I will say no, just because of the 64 one. The controller is probably going to be a little more costly there. And that doesn't have the pull of an NES yet. Give it maybe 10, 15 years. Maybe you'll get there. But maybe the Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo came out 25 years ago. Feel nostalgic, you 30, 35-year-olds for that? That makes more sense. Maybe not quite yet with the N64. Maybe we're like 5, 10 years away from that one. Hell, why not a Game Boy one? Would that be a bad idea? Game Boy Classic Edition with 30 built-in games? And it hooks up to a TV? Maybe. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. But at least I think Nintendo's going to experiment. I mean, hell, they're having their, was it NES Yesterday hashtag? Is that what it is? They're going to have a launch party at their Nintendo store in New York, which I am really looking forward to seeing footage of that. They got to get Howard Phillips out for that. They're going to have the Nintendo tips line for the weekend. So I think it could be fun. I think it could be fun. It's a great time with a certain NES guidebook, potentially a certain NES app coming out. Hopefully that this is a time to be alive. If this is the time in history where since 1994 probably the only time in history where you're going to have the NES being in the public spotlight versus back then. This is it. You're not going to see it in 2030. This is it. Unless we all get a Nintendo on a chip implanted into our head. So there you have it. Nintendo will probably look into more of this. In terms of other consoles, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't other companies look into it? Like, I don't know, like put out an Amiga in the UK or in Europe. Why not do that? They'll do that anyway, though. They'll probably do that anyway.